Hello, my Belfast Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. All right, we are back with another Lazy Masquerade. This is part 9 of the Route 666 True American Horror Stories. One story from each state. All right, we only got one left after this one. I'm a little sad. We're going to have to find something else kind of like this. He's got a whole variety of playlists, so I'm sure we'll find something. All right, this one is 5 Scary True U.S. Horror Stories, North Carolina, Michigan, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Vermont, Vol.9. All right, hope everyone's got a nice cup of coffee. Peppermint mocha. Oh, I love this time of year. Thanksgiving, you got pumpkin spice. Christmas, you got peppermint. It's like Christmas in my mouth. We'll ignore that. All right. Let's get into this story. Go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cuddle up with someone special. Let's get spooky.
This is part 9 of my American road trip series, in which I'm narrating one scary story from every US state. Make sure to check the other episodes out after this one. It's hard to believe we're almost at the finish line. Still, there's plenty.
I feel you, bro. I feel you. I'm not ready for it to be over yet. I really enjoy them. It's like sitting around a campfire. I love it.
More horror just over the horizon. So make sure to buckle up as we continue on our journey down Route 666.
Number 9. I am sad that it's almost over, but I'm a little excited that it's almost over too because I'm excited to get into some of his other playlists. Like, I really enjoy this channel. I really do. North Carolina, come on and raise
The
up.
speed painting visuals used in this episode were created by Victoria Skeller. Links to her YouTube channel and Instagram can be found in the description. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina, born and raised, and I have my own story to share here. One that's equal parts bizarre.
That's badass. So she's doing like some computer drawing of the Lazy Masquerade mask. Oh, I wish I could do shit like that.
And disturbing. Around 4 years ago, I was walking through one of the local parks early in the morning, well before anyone else was up and awake. I'd just broken up with my long-term girlfriend and was having difficulty sleeping. As I strolled through the empty park, I heard something that caught my attention.
Can't even listen to the story because this is so badass. I love it.
A soft whimpering. Sheltered under a tree on my left was a dog. A black Labrador to be precise.
Puppy! Save the puppy!
Poor thing must have gotten lost, I thought. I leant down to pet the little guy, and his tail immediately started wagging like crazy. He licked my hand and made it clear that, like me, he was in need of a friend. No collar, nor anything else to suggest he had an owner. What was he doing out here all by himself? Had somebody kicked him out? Was he a stray? I stood up and walked a few steps to look around for his owner, but the dog wouldn't leave me alone. He was like my shadow. Wherever I walked, he followed. Together, we walked the length and breadth of that park. Occasionally, I called out, "Hello? Hello? I have your dog here." But there was nobody around at all. No one was looking for the poor fella. I looked down at him and stared into his big brown eyes, a pair that said, "Please, take me with you." It seemed like the universe had thrown the two of us together. This dog was the answer to my newfound loneliness, and I was the answer to his.
Heck yeah.
I took him home with me. For a long time, I did my best to track down his owner. I reported the dog as missing and put up flyers around town, but nobody ever got in contact with me. It looked like I'd found myself a new canine housemaid. I named him Scooby. Creative, I know. Every morning, I'd take Scooby for a long...
Scoobert! Scoobert doo! Loved watching Scooby-Doo whenever I was younger. Scooby-Doo, where are you?
The first week I had him, we walked the exact same route around town. Thing is, every time we came to pass this one particular house, Scooby would stop and start crying. I'd try and pull him away, try to get him to keep going, but he'd just stare at the house and whine like crazy.
Was it his original home? Oh, like, did maybe his owner pass away and like he got out of the house and because, oh man, I hope that's not, oh God. Okay, here's my thought. Like the people who own him might have passed away in the house, like, that was his original house. He wanted to go home. He's a real friendly dog. He got out because no one was able to feed him because they're dead. And this poor guy found him, and like now every time they walk past his house, he's wanting, trying to get him to go in there to find his original. Oh, please don't let that be the case. Oh my God, no.
Each time we came to pass that house, it'd take me a good 10 minutes to get him to continue on with me, tugging on his leash the entire time. After the 6th or 7th time we passed that house, it became clear to me that he was going to do this every time. So, in the end, I just decided to switch up our walking route. I had no idea what got into him, or why that house seemed to bother him so much. It wasn't like he was crying to go inside. He never tugged on his leash to get closer. It was more like he was afraid of something in there, but couldn't bring himself to leave, like a human who can't look away from a deadly accident. He had some sort of strange, doggy fascination with the place. Anyway, for the next 6 months
Animals can sense evil, bro. I'm telling you. Like, that you don't only have to look at them for like tornadoes and shit. Like, this is turning out fucking amazing. Like, the person he says doing this is a artiste. Mwah, chef kiss. Beautiful. But dogs can sense evil. Cats can too. I mean, animals have a sixth sense. They know when someone's just shit. They do. Like one of my dogs, Little, she loves everyone. Doesn't bark unless, we leave the house with her still here. She gets real bad, like, anxiety whenever we have to go somewhere, but we can't always take her everywhere. But there's a few people that walk down the road that she just does not like at all. And I'm a firm believer they're evil. They have to be. That dog is the sweetest dog ever. It has never had a problem with any stranger ever a day in its freaking life. But there's like 2 to 3 people that walk down this road. She wants them to know, I know. And I want you to know I know. So keep on fucking walking, bud. You know what I mean?
own Scooby, I took him on several different walking routes, making sure that we never passed that damn house that freaked him out so much. One day though, I had an early morning errand to run, which took me past that house. I decided to take Scooby along with me, get his daily walk out of the way, completely forgetting about how he acted 6 months earlier. Well, Scooby hadn't forgotten about that house. Not by a long shot.
Poor Scoob.
As we came to pass it, he once again froze in place and refused to move. He whimpered loudly, refusing to take his eyes off the place. "Come on, Scoob, there's a good boy," I said to him, trying to calm him down and coax him along a bit. It didn't work. He seemed more unsettled by that house than he ever had been before. "Hey, what's gotten into you, boy?" I asked him rhetorically. He must have stayed like that for a good 15 minutes this time, just staring and crying, refusing to budge. Then, without warning, he bolted towards the house, pulling his leash right out of my hands. "Scooby!" I shouted. "Get back here!" It was no use. Whatever fear had consumed him before, he had conquered it. He rushed to that house, ran around the
He grabbed his cojones and said,
corner and into the backyard. God damn it, Scooby, I thought. The owners must have a cat or something.
Zoink, Scoop, come back.
That's why he always acts crazy around here. I chased Scooby into the house's backyard, completely embarrassed, praying that I could get him out of there before the owners
That is so nice.
woke up and started cussing me out. I got back there and found Scooby frantically digging a hole in the grass. I'd never seen him acting like this before. He never dug holes in my backyard. I tried to pull him away, but he just shook me off and kept digging, his little paws throwing up earth left, right, and center. I was furious with him. But, you see, Scooby knew something I didn't. Knew a secret that nobody else knew. He knew what was buried in that yard. His former owner. Scooby's digging unearthed the largely decomposed corpse of a 32-year-old man, shallowly buried in the garden of your average suburban house in North Carolina. The man had been down there for as long as I'd had Scooby. The authorities were alerted, and an investigation began. Turns out the house was a rental. The dead man had been living there with his girlfriend and their dog. All their neighbors and their friends in the area knew them as Jim and Charlotte. These turned out to be fake identities. Everything people thought they knew about their lives and their pasts were a lie. The inside of their house remained untouched. Nothing appeared to have been taken. As of right now, the police still haven't been able to track down the so-called Charlotte. She remains the prime suspect for his killing, though nobody's really sure if she was behind it all and went on the run, or if she herself was a victim too, buried somewhere else by somebody else. If she was responsible, then she left in a damn hurry, as pretty much all her personal possessions were still inside the house. Her wallet, her fake ID, everything but her cell phone. Whatever the case, no one has ever come forward to reveal either Jim or Charlotte's real identities. No friends, no family, no one. As such, Jim was reburied here in Nashville and given an unnamed headstone. The strangest part in my eyes is that the house's rent was still being paid when the body was found, despite the fact it had been empty for 6 months. The landlord had always been paid in cash, which arrived in an
Okay, I know I ain't saying much, but I got a few theories. I'm just trying to wait for it to be over because they're going to be a little on the lengthier side.
envelope through the mail. It was always addressed from Jim, even after his demise. So, the question is, who was still paying the rent? Charlotte, the girlfriend? Someone else who didn't want the new tenants to be digging around in the garden? That all remains unclear. I'm sure there are details the cops haven't revealed to the public, but still, it's a little weird. Scooby is still around to this day. He still cries whenever we go past that house, but he doesn't stop and stare anymore. In his own way, I like to think he found a little closure. I don't know how his last owner treated him or what he was like, but Scooby didn't want to leave him down there in the ground. He's a good boy. I'll
He is a
update you
good
all
boy.
if they ever find the woman.
He is a good boy. Okay. So I was close. I was close. They wasn't dead in the house. They was dead on the outside of the house. But I just had this feeling like dogs love their peoples. They do. But, you know, the way he was talking, like, you know, that dog probably seen what happened to his owner. That's why he was so scared. Wasn't the fact that, you know, something evil was there, but something evil happened there. All right. So they have fake IDs. I mean, they're easier to come by than, you know, what you think. They are. But what if there's part of like some witness protection shit? That could explain why the landlord was still getting paid from Jim. You know, the marshal service or whoever put him in witness protection was still paying it. It very well could have been the girl, but here's my thing. Even if it wasn't her, she just disappeared and left everything behind. That to me sounds like some sort of witness protection and shit. Like, hey, they found us, they killed him. I don't know what to do. Stay where you're at. We're coming, we're getting you, and you're disappearing again. We're scrubbing all that shit and you're going somewhere else. You're not going to find her. Even if the police do go looking for her, the U.S. Marshal Service has a way of taking that face and distorting it just enough to where they're not going to get facial recognition on shit. Like I know this shit, all right. I love conspiracy shit and stuff like that. So I know a lot of stuff on how things are done. It really does sound like some witness protection of some sort, and it could have very well been that they could have been staying there. The U.S. Marshal Service was paying for everything, and they're going to continue to pay for it because they want to keep that, you know, for them. Just move in new people and so on and so forth. They're not going to willingly open up an investigation because that can ruin, you know, their witness protection shit. So leave him there. We take you, we hide you. Someone comes across it. It is what it is. Our hands are washed of. You know what I mean? We burn that place and we move on about it. Not literally burn it, but you know, mark it off a list of usable, put on the list of the fuck no, and move on with our days. So they could have been hiding from someone. That someone in particular could have found them and killed him. The dog witnessed it and took off running. Like it could have happened the night that he found the dog. Like it could have happened that night. Oh my god. That's fucking crazy. I love it. Oh, not the fact that he's dead or and it could have been the girl, but you know, could have not been. Just like what? I love that. I love the intrigue with it. Oh, it's my kind of shit. No, 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 bruh. Vermont. Ain't that like apple pie and wine country?
I've been listening.
And whoever's doing this drawing stuff is an artiste. I'm loving it. It looks so good. And we're getting to see it from start to finish. And I love that.
Listening to your YouTube channel and stories for a long time now, and I have one I'd like to share that happened to my parents a little before I was born. Many people in America aren't too familiar with my little state of Vermont, up in the northeastern corner, tucked between New York and New Hampshire. Even fewer are.
It's an amazing place to go during fall and winter, bro. You want to get cozy and lay naked in a hotel room with a fire going? That's where you want to be. Bearskin rug type shit, bro.
Familiar with the portion of land in the southern part, known as the Bennington Triangle. This stretch of land has been home to one or two settlements, but is more famous for its unexplained mysteries, mass disappearances, unknown creatures, and evil spirits. Even the local Native American tribes say they'd never.
Well, fuck, I never heard about this part of Vermont. Never mind. You don't want to go lay butt ass naked on a bearskin rug with a nice cozy fire drinking apple cider. Chupacabra gonna get you or some bullshit.
Never set foot there, as they believe the land is cursed. My grand.
Bro, don't mess with none of that Indian stuff. No, Indians, they know things. They know this ancient earthly wisdom. Like, no. Indian curses, Indian hexes, Indian type, like, bad juju shit scares the living hell out of me. Like, they was here before any of us was. They know shit we don't know. Hey, I'm not bugging with that. No, no. Like, I, I don't know if skinwalkers exist or not, but I don't want to find out. I don't want to be that bro out there like, you're a skinwalker and die. You know what I mean? But think about it, like they avoid certain places altogether. And a lot of people go there and their whole world's just fucked after that. Just fucked. They know things. Indian culture is, I love their culture. It is beautiful. It is natural. It is, I love Indian culture. I do. But you gotta respect the shit that they're scared of. Because these mofos ain't scared of Jack. Like, they brave. Mm. Yep, don't go. Don't go to Vermont. Don't go to this little corner place that he's talking about. That triangle thing. Mm-mm. Fuck that.
My parents owned a house right on the edge of Glastonbury Mountain, which is one of the supposed points of the Bennington Triangle.
Bennington Triangle. Don't go there.
My grandfather had talked about unusual happenings in his many years of living there, but nothing is as chilling or bold as what happened to my father one summer day in 1980. It started out as any other hot summer day in August. My older sister was just turning 1 at the time, and my parents decided to have a birthday party for her at my grandparents' house, since my parents lived in a small apartment at the time, and my grandparents had a very large backyard to host the party. When it came time to serve the cake, my mother rushed about in the kitchen, looking for a cutting board or some other flat utensil to serve the large cake on. Alas, all of the boards she found were far too small. She hurried down to the basement, where my grandmother kept a lot of old kitchen gadgets and supplies. Perhaps there was a large cutting board of some sort down there. As my mother searched the dimly lit basement, she came across a corner where my grandparents stacked all of their board games for game nights. One of the game boxes stuck out more than the others. It looked brand new. When my mum read the title, she kind of froze in bewilderment for a second. It was a brand new, never-before-used copy of the game Ouija. Why would the old folks have a Ouija board? Maybe they were using the box to store something else. Letting her curiosity take over, my mother grabbed the game from the shelf and pulled off the top. A brand new Ouija board stared back at her. At this point, her bewilderment of finding such an item diminished and was replaced with a thought. This board is the right...
I'm so sorry, but this right here is just amazing me. I love this.
shape and size to hold the cake. She was right. There were no creases in the middle like most game boards, and this particular model of the game used a very strong board, not flimsy cardboard. She started up the stairs, Ouija board in tow. Once in the kitchen, my mum looked around for some tinfoil. She wasn't about to serve a cake to guests with a Ouija board fully staring back at them. Finding the foil, she wrapped the board up well, taking great effort to make sure all of the numbers and letters were covered. Slowly and skillfully, she slid the birthday cake on top of it, stuck in the birthday candles, and went outside and joined everyone. My father was standing with an old Polaroid camera in front of my grandmother, who was holding my sister, waiting for the cake. As my mum took out a lighter and lit the candles, a red light on the Polaroid began flashing. My father fiddled with the camera. That's odd, he exclaimed. I could have sworn I put fresh batteries in this thing. I have a brand new package on my dresser upstairs, my grandfather said. Oh, okay, I'll go get 'em. Be right back. With that, my father ran into the house. Just then, a breeze began to wisp up, and the bright sun ducked behind some very, very dark clouds. Looking up, my grandparents and my mum started to pout. Great, looks like rain. My mother, who was born in New York City, was a tad puzzled by this sudden shift in weather, but my grandparents, being native Vermonters, weren't fazed at all. After all, the saying goes, if you don't like the weather in Vermont, just wait a minute. Regardless, everybody thought it was best to move the celebration indoors. Once everybody was situated around the large trench table in my grandfather's dining room, my mother was beginning to wonder where my father was with the camera. All of a sudden, just as the thought was still in her mind, My mother, along with everybody else at the party, heard a very loud, very scary. It had come from the upstairs bedroom. It was my father. "Steve!" my mother shouted. Without hesitation, she handed the birthday candles to my grandmother, ran into the hallway and up the stairs. My father was laying on his stomach, a mere foot from the edge of the landing, his face down. He looked semi-conscious. "Oh my God, Steve, what happened?"
What the fuck
My mother
happened,
stooped to
Steve?
his side to help him to his bottom. I must have tripped on something. Damn it. My father sat with his eyes slowly opening, his legs bent with his feet on the top stair. My mum looked behind him. There was nothing anywhere to trip on. The floor was completely immaculate, just the way my grandmother always had it. "You all right?" My mum began to help him to his feet. Yeah, I'm fine." My father was a 6'2" former Marine, 5 years fresh out of Vietnam. He fought and survived the siege of Khe Sanh and was a machine gunner on the front lines. He wasn't about to let a stumble dethrone his dignity.
Right.
He finished standing on his own, shying from all my mother's aid, when, suddenly, he began contorting, twisting his shoulder blades back in an almost inhuman posture. "Oh, God! It burns! It burns!" My father started clawing at his t-shirt. His fingers gnarled and contorted in agony. Thinking he may have tweaked something in his fall, my mother, now horrified, helped him remove his shirt. What she saw terrified her to the bone.
I don't even think I want to know what the fuck is going on. He just wants batteries. He just wanted fucking batteries.
Between my father's painful convulsions, right in the middle of his shoulder blades, was a large, red boot print. Her rational mind tried to tell her that this was a reaction to a spider bite, but her eyes were showing her a more chilling picture. It looked like a man size 12 or 14, and there were tread marks, like actual tread marks. What kind of spider bite leaves tread marks?
Shoe spider?
Someone, or something, tried to kick her husband down the stairs, narrowly missing the top of the landing by about 6 inches. Now, fully on his feet,
Like, was it a ghost or is there someone in the fucking house, bud?
the burning subsided, and as quickly as it came, the mark on his back disappeared.
It's an angry 7-foot ghost. It's like, you're gonna go flying, boy.
Both my parents took a minute to gather their thoughts before descending down to the party below.
I thought,
They kept their cool.
party's over. Wrap it up. We going home. It's done. Not happening today, boys. Sorry.
And played it off like nothing had happened.
The fuck nothing happened? You got boot prints across you. You got ghostly boot prints all across your ass, bro. Don't sit there and try to act all big and bad. Tell someone, be like, bro, I don't know what the fuck is going on in your house. I ain't going back in there. Something just tried to kick my ass, and it did. It did it. I don't even know no. Fuck no.
Immediately upon taking the picture of my 1-year-old sister with her cake, my mother slid the cake onto the table, cut it, served it, and then chucked the Ouija board, still wrapped in icing foil, out the back door and deep into the woods. After that, no other strange happenings ever occurred in that bedroom, and nobody said anything to my grandparents right up until the day that they both passed away.
Here's the thing. Why the fuck would you use a Ouija board as a fucking serving tray? It ain't even Halloween, bro. Ain't even on Halloween. Why the fuck would you do that? That's dumb. Don't do stupid shit.
It wasn't until years later, when my sister was 10 and I was 8, that we were looking through the photo albums with my mother, and we came upon the Polaroid she snapped at the table that day. Behind my grandmother and 1-year-old sister was the faded silhouette of what appeared to be a tall man, standing over the two of them with his hands outstretched, as if about to grab them both. My mother removed the photo from its place in the book. How had she never seen that before? After we went to bed that night, she burned that picture outside in the trash barrel.
Okay. I'd burn it and scatter its ashes somewhere far the fuck away. But why would you use a Ouija board to put a fucking cake on? That's gonna piss something off. What kind of bullshit is that?
This all took place in 1997. At the time, my girlfriend and I both lived near the Manistee River. We didn't live together though. We'd only been dating for a couple of months. Met each other at a local bar. One evening, I got a call from her at around 11 p.m. She sounded concerned on the phone. Hey, Rick, could you come over to my place tonight?
No.
I figured she was
Something
just in the
wrong.
mood for a little late night action, if you know what I mean. Sure, babe. Feeling a little frisky, huh? No, it's not that. It's just that... Well, this is gonna sound ridiculous, but I think I saw some kind of wolf walking by my window. I mean, like, really walking. Like a werewolf or something. Well, I didn't want to laugh at her for what she had just said.
I
But
would've.
she was right.
I've been laughing my ass off. I've been like, bro, how many bottles of wine you had already? Like, did you stop drinking wine, start drinking that hard shit? What you been smoking, bro? Like,
The whole thing did sound ridiculous. Still, I kept my judgment to myself, thinking she must have just watched a scary movie on TV or something. Freaked herself out a little bit.
yeah.
Being the reassuring
You would have said something stupid. You wouldn't got none of them late night friskies no more.
boyfriend I was, I told her I'd be right over. I hopped in my truck outside and set off in the direction of her house. The drive took me about 15 minutes. My girlfriend lived out in the sticks a bit, in a house surrounded by woodland. A little too secluded for my taste, but hey-ho. I pulled off onto her road, which was flanked on both sides by tall trees that blocked out the moonlight. Luckily for me, my headlights were in great condition and really lit up the whole road ahead of me. My truck comes creeping up on her house, and I turn the final corner to pull into her driveway. On full blast, my headlights light up the entirety of her house. Immediately, I see it. There, crouched in a bush by my girlfriend's front door, is what looks like a huge dog's head. That's all I can see protruding from the bush, only the dog's head, but the thing was big. I hit the brakes. As the light from my vehicle hits it, the head instantly spins around and looks dead at me with a pair of crazed, orange eyes. Without hesitating, the dog-like thing stands up on two legs, and I swear to Christ, its body is human. No doubt about it, and it's covered in scratch marks and sporadic patches of thick hair. The worst part was its size. The thing was huge, standing much taller than any man I'd ever met. It charged out of the bushes, running straight at my truck like it was coming to get me. It all happened so fast that I had no time to think. I just blasted the car horn and put my foot on the accelerator, aiming my vehicle right at the damn thing.
Fuck yeah, bro. That's what I would have done. I wouldn't even hesitate. You hit it, then you back over it, then you run over it again, and then you get out. You stomp on it a couple times, then you back over it and run over it again.
The creature wasn't interested in playing chicken though. When it saw my tires begin to spin again, it bolted left, and in a flash, disappeared into the tree line. I didn't wait around to check if the coast was clear. Instead, instinct took over. I jumped out of my truck and ran to my girlfriend's door.
Get your shit, woman! Where gotta go?
I knocked hard, but there was no answer.
Wolf done ate her.
My heart began to race, thinking what this thing might have done to her. I
Maybe it was her.
desperately called out her name. That did the job. The door opened, and my girlfriend greeted me with a smile as if nothing had happened. I asked if she was all right. She told me of course she was, that she was just a little spooked by what she saw earlier, the wolf man walking past her window, but that she was sure it was just her mind playing tricks on her. She obviously had no idea this creature was hiding outside.
Like, bro, you didn't hear me honking my horn? My bright lights shining into your motherfucking window? Me peeling out and trying to hit this damn thing? Bro, you need a fucking hearing aid. Hell no, you ain't imagining shit. Get your shit, get in the fucking truck. We gone. We out. Deuces, bruh.
Her house. I wasn't gonna call you over here, she told me. It's late, and I know you have work in the morning, and I know you probably think I'm just being stupid, but I swear, after I saw the shape of the thing move past my window, I heard what sounded like whimpers outside my front door, like a dog crying to be let back inside. That's why she didn't immediately open the door for me, not until she heard my voice. I told her I didn't think she was being stupid. I told her about what I saw, about the dog-like thing hiding outside her house, waiting by her front door like some kind of damn punished pooch. Her face changed as I told her, became morbid and pale. I had to comfort her for a good few hours before she felt safe enough to fall asleep. In those hours, she asked me what I thought it was, but we both knew the answer to that already. See,
Chupacabra.
there's a famous story in this part of the country
Wendigo.
about the Michigan Dogman. A lot of different sightings floating around. I've heard more than my fair share from people, both young and old,
What's
male
that?
and female. Since that night, I have my own story to tell about it. Some of you might think this is a load of bull, but I know what I saw that night, and I, for one, am a believer now.
Fuck that. I've been out there and put a collar on Fido. You should give it a damn Scooby treat. What the fuck's wrong with you, bud?
When we were much younger, 16 or 17 I believe, my best friend James and I went out hiking in DeSoto Forest, Mississippi. It was 1985. School was on break, and the two of us decided it'd be fun to go on a camping trip out in those woods. We'd stocked up on supplies, got the best tent we could afford between us, and since James had a car, drove off one weekday afternoon. He parked up on the outskirts. We ventured deep into the forest, wanting to get as immersed into nature as possible. The two of us weren't exactly the most outdoorsy people in the world, so we wanted to make the most of the experience and really embrace the great outdoors. Learn from it, you know? As we were making our way along one of the trails, we heard people coming up around the corner ahead of us. We were real far into the woods now, and hadn't crossed paths with anyone for a good long while. It was still daylight out there, so we weren't too bothered. When the people up ahead finally came into view and got close to us, however, that all changed. It was like something out of the movie Wrong Turn. 4 real, hillbilly-looking boys, far bigger than us. You could tell from the noise they were making, the way they were dressed, and the way they carried themselves, that they were trouble. Mullets, wife-beaters, soulless eyes. A real bunch of lowlife and mouth-breathers. Must have only had 10 teeth between all 4 of them. They stopped as they came to pass us, obviously looking for trouble. They started insulting us, calling us all kinds of derogatory terms. We kept on walking without saying a word, scared they'd do something. One of them snorted up a loogie and spat at James. They all laughed as we speed-walked out of their sights and around the corner. "Arseholes," James said under his breath. He didn't dare say it loudly enough so that they could hear him. And that was a terrible experience.
And see, that's why you always go into the woods with protection. I'd be like, fuck you, bud. Spit at me. I'm gonna spit a bullet at your fucking face. That's disgusting. Don't spit at people, bro. That's fucking grody. I would have bitch slapped one of them. I ain't gonna lie, I might have got my ass whooped. I probably would have got my ass whipped. I would have bitch slapped one of them. I have balls for days. I don't care. Like, I might not win the fight, but I'd be damned if they're going to limp away without a scratch. And if they don't know when to stop, I got something that will make sure everyone stops something.
Really put a dampener on the whole day, but we figured that was the last we'd see of those scumbags.
No.
They'd had their fun with us, and were heading off somewhere to cause more trouble.
Nope. Nope. You just gave them like this. Oh, they ain't gonna do shit. They didn't even acknowledge. Oh. All right, now, boys. Let's go in there and let's fuck with them real good. Yeah, Guarantee it.
After a couple more hours of hiking, we found the spot where we'd planned to set up camp. After putting up our tent, we ate a little dinner. Then we chatted about life and the encounter with those lowlifes. Eventually it got dark, and we decided to turn in for the night. We got into our sleeping bags inside the tent, and after about an hour, we both drifted off to sleep. I was awoken in the middle of the night by some unusual sounds coming from outside. As the grogginess of sleep faded, I honed my ears on the noises. It wasn't any kind of nature sound or animal at all. It was quiet laughter and whispering, coming from somewhere outside of our tent. The voices were muffled and far off, but I was sure they were human. Still, I needed a second opinion. I shook James awake and told him to listen. He too could hear the distinctly human noises. "Oh crap," he whispered. "There's people out there for sure."
Fucking shot him in the face.
We didn't say it right away, but I knew he was
I would have shot them motherfuckers in the face. I would have. You don't come up on me in the middle of the woods, bro. Nah, I've watched wrong turn 1, 2, 3. I've watched all the wrong turns, and that shit ain't fucking happening, bro. You ain't catching me with my pants down. And if you do, I'm still gonna shoot you.
thinking the same thing
The face.
as me, and that it was those 4 guys from earlier. "What are we gonna do?" I whispered to James. We had some wood carving knives with us, but that was about all we had for self-defense. James subtly unzipped the top of the tent entrance and peeked out into the blackness. "Definitely people," he said. "I can make out their silhouettes. It's them. All 4 of them. They're in the bushes, about 100 feet away, I'd say." He said it all in such a matter-of-fact way that it didn't sound like he was scared at all. But then he looked at me with an expression of total concern. "What are we gonna do? Just hope that they leave us alone?"
Fuck no.
I didn't know how to answer. They were obviously planning something, but how bad that thing was unknown. We were outnumbered, outsized, and in unfamiliar territory in the dark. My heart was beating double time. "Let's go. Let's just get out of here and go," I said. We sat looking at each other, debating what the best course of action was. Then, whoosh, something flew in through our tent. It pierced right through it and stuck in the ground no more than 3 inches from me. It was a goddamn arrow, sticking up in the ground. This was no joke. These guys were psychos.
We caught one!
We heard them screaming and laughing like a pack of animals outside.
Hit him again! Hit him again!
That was it. We tore open the tent entrance and flew out into the forest, leaving all of our stuff behind. We heard the men howling like wolves on the hunt, pursuing us. God knows how close behind us they were. The 2 of us didn't look back. We sprinted deep into those woods, completely disoriented and filled with fear. At one point, James grabbed me and threw me down into a small ditch alongside him. He held me down. "Shh, don't move," he whispered. I obeyed his command.
Fuck all that.
He always knew how to take control, much more of a leader than I ever was. We stayed hidden down in that ditch for hours. I don't know how many exactly. Neither of us had a watch, and time lost all its structure. All I know is we laid low until daybreak. Then with the light on our side once again, we slowly and cautiously made our way back out of the forest. It took what felt like forever, but eventually we made it back to James's car. The vehicle had been completely trashed. The tires had been slashed, the doors pried open, the insides gutted, looted and soiled. The outside was scratched to all hell, with a few holes put in it for good measure. This is one of those rare cases where hitchhiking actually saved the day. We were able to hitch a ride with a stranger back to civilization. Of course, we told our families about the experience, and ended up contacting the authorities too. They were concerned, but not surprised. Other people had contacted them about a violent and abusive group in those woods before, but they'd never taken things this far. Well, let me rephrase that. Nobody had ever reported something this extreme. That doesn't mean those mouth-breathing sons of bitches didn't end up hitting one of their targets. Bit hard to report something with an arrow through your heart, you know. The cops searched the area where we'd set up our camp. Our stuff had all been taken, obviously. They didn't find the arrow stuck in the ground in our tent. I guess the hillbillies took it back when they searched it. What the cops did find, though, was another arrow stuck in a tree, right by where we ran into the forest. They'd fired off another shot at us as we ran from them. Luckily, it didn't hit us. James and I never went back to DeSoto again. Never went camping again for that matter. If the cops ever caught those 4 guys, we never heard anything about it.
See, that's what I'm saying. You go camping, hiking, anything. It's not just the wildlife you gotta worry about. There's some stupid motherfuckers in this world that only live to make other people's lives a living fucking hell. And you just need to shoot them in the face. Let someone shoot a bow and arrow at me. I place money that will be the last fucking thing they do. Like, take that, Peter Pan. Robin Hood looking motherfucker. Oh, Oklahoma, where the wind blows.
This one isn't for the weak of stomach amongst you. I'll describe the incident and all its details, but be warned, this...
They're getting better. Like, they got me. I'm sweating. Like, oh, fuck, bro.
wasn't a pretty sight. A few years back, I worked as a first responder out in Oklahoma. A call came through one night about a traffic incident, a hit and run. Apparently, a cyclist had been struck by a vehicle, and things looked pretty bad. Somebody had seen the whole thing and called it in, but said it was probably too late already for the guy.
Damn.
If it wasn't, then it would be real soon. They were doing what they could at the scene. We rushed to their location, knowing that time was of the essence. We came down a quiet country road, trees lining both sides, and sure enough, up ahead in our headlights, we could see 2 distressed people and a third person lying in the road by a mangled bicycle. I rushed out to help, but instantly I knew the guy in the road was gone. He wasn't wearing a helmet, and blood and brain juices had leaked out all over the road. His limbs were broken and contorted at unnatural angles. There was a long smear of dark red where his torso had slid along the ground, turning the front of his shirt into a bloody rag and completely tearing off all the skin on his body and face. He must have been hit at some speed. I knelt down to see what I could do, though it was obvious to both me and my partner that this was not a survivable accident.
Just give him a band-aid. He'll be fine. Oh my god. I hate it when they go into such description because it makes things hurt. I don't know why. But it's like,
I checked for a pulse, just to be sure, but really this was all just procedure. Just as everyone expected, I couldn't find a pulse. I got up to face my partner, who was doing his best to calm the 2 people who had stopped to help. My back was to the man lying lifeless in the road. I told my partner that there was nothing we could do for the guy, even though I'm sure he already knew that. he says something back to me. But, mid-sentence, he abruptly stopped talking. His eyes got real large, as if he had just had the shock of his life. He was looking at something behind me. I turned to look too. Standing there was the injured man, though I have no idea how he was still breathing or able to stand. His head was split open. His face was gone. It was all just red. The only thing distinguishing him as human were the two wide, white eyes. They were filled with confusion and fear. Before anyone had a chance to help him or even speak to him, the injured man ran off the road into the woods at full speed. We couldn't catch up with him. We called the incident in, and a search for the injured man got underway immediately. They never found him. His body was never discovered in the woods. Never has been. He was never reported by any of the hospitals. Nobody in the local community said that they'd seen a severely injured man running around town. For all intents and purposes, he simply vanished somewhere in those woods. Judging by his injuries, there was no way he could have gotten far. Still, he was never seen again. Never reported missing by his family, wherever they were. I know this must all have a logical explanation, and the man just ran off because he was dazed and confused from his injuries. Still, to this day, I have no idea where he went, where his body disappeared off to, or why he was never found.
Fuck that.
The fact that he was able to regain consciousness and run after the damage he sustained defies belief. And then again, adrenaline's a hell of a thing.
It is.
Gave me the shock of my life.
That is so fucking badass. I love that. Look, I know I don't have a lot of people that watch this channel like he does and everything, but if the person who is out there ever comes across this video ever, bro it. Sorry, I call everyone bro. It is what it is. 2 thumbs up. Like, that's amazing. I love it. I like it. I love it. That was badass. Well, those were some really good fucked up stories, bro. I enjoyed it. Oh my god. I'm scarred for life. Oh, I would have ran over the fucking werewolf. I would have shot the wrong turn looking motherfuckers in the face. The dude on the road with, man, it's like seriously hurting a wild animal. Cause like you go into all that pain and everything, like your body's shutting down, you're dying, like you're not thinking straight, the adrenaline's pumping, you're going 90 miles an hour and not able to do much of anything. You just take off like a wild crazy person. Like it happens. I've seen stuff like that happen, not to that extent, but I've seen stuff like that happen. And then you just go until, that adrenaline finally works out, and then he probably just fell in a ditch somewhere and passed away like that. It's fucked up. Oh, and the first story. Oh my god, with the dog. What the fuck? And the dumb fucks with putting the fucking cake on the Ouija board. That they brought that shit on themselves. That was stupid. Zoink Scoob. Alright. If y'all enjoyed today's video, please leave a thumbs up. If you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, deranged campfire stories that make you just want to shit yourself, these ones was really good. I really liked them. Think about subscribing. That's what we do. You're not guaranteed you'll want diapers the rest of your life. As always, be good to one another. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Man, I still think that in that first one, where the dude found the dog and the the dog's original owner was like dead and buried in a shallow grave in the back. I don't know why. Just in my skeleton bones, y'all. I feel like that that's like some uh witness protection shit. I don't know. I don't know. That just I feel it in my skeleton bones. It's like it I don't know. Tell me what you all think about any of these stories. Like I love hearing y'all's comments and your ideas and your thoughts and everything. I love it. I love it. Love it. All right. Be good one another. I'll see y'all later. Zoink Scoob.